Yeah, we back with another one. We were kind of going crazy on this live thing, sort of. We were going a little crazy. Y'all know the vibes. I hope y'all been doing well for yourselves. Or Tuesday. It's Tuesday. What am I talking about? This day's starting to get messed up. But I hope y'all been having a great day. Y'all know, as per usual, I hope that at some given point that, whoa, what's up? Wow. Miss Tracy, wow. This is wow. I'm already knowing. I'm already knowing. It's good to see you in here. It's good to see you in here. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well. I hope everybody that's joining in that at some point you got to walk in your purpose today. Recognize that. Not get too distracted. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. This is going to be an interesting live. Very, very interesting live. I wanted to continue off of the last one, and talking about uniting the opposites because that's really, really big right now. On time, um, playing out in our outer lives, which is also something I've been saying a lot, is a reflection of what's going on inside of us at the very same time, in the very same breath. It's almost like a mirror effect. Another thing that I state on here all the time is that this physical world that we're living in is only a shell of what's actually going on. And the inner life and the spiritual life is what precedes this physical world. And that's the standpoint and place that we have to live from. And in order to do that, you have to take your mind off of the past and you have to take your mind off of the future. And paradoxically speaking, you got to just take your mind off of your mind. Most people are so in their head about everything that it brings them away from being present. It takes so, and ultimately, by you being stuck in your head, that's you ultimately living in your own darkness. A lot of those bad thoughts and bad feelings come from living in that space. And even if you are present, you will recognize that no matter what, like go through, no matter what, no matter what. And that's you overcoming that darkness. Most people do not like to face that darkness. And that's what we will be talking about tonight, facing that darkness. A lot of people try to avoid it at all costs and they just want the light. An analogy on that last live, if you guys want to go check it out after we're done here, the analogy that I use is a seed going into the ground before it sprouts out to the light and becoming that tree that it was always destined to be, but it first had to sink in the darkness. And that's also like the sign of Jonah as well, which we probably gonna be talking about that somewhat tonight. It depends. It ultimately depends. Lindsay, how are you? How are you? How's it going? I hope you're having an amazing day. How's it going, Taya? My bad. I'm just reading the handle names. How's it going, Taya? But yeah, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, how's it going, Taya? How's it going, Quinn? Um, if we could get the lights up, we go have more people participate and have this get out to more people. I am from Jersey. So let me ask you guys this. Let me ask you guys this. Um, do you guys feel as though it's a good thing to avoid the darkness within yourself? Is that a good thing? And what do y'all think I mean by that question? And Miss Tracy, I'm Christian. You? Yep. I am Christian. I am Christian. What do you mean by that? Why do you say no? Why do you say no to avoiding the darkness within you? And everybody else can respond too. Feel free. The more everybody interacts with each other, the better this live is going to be. I don't want to feel like I'm talking to you guys or talking at you guys. Y'all opinions matter because you have to address it to open up to the light. That is amazing. Because you have to address it to open up to the light. That is amazing. That's a great answer. And Taya, why do you say no? That is a great answer. Because you have to address it to open up to the light. Nice. So this is the climate right now. Also, with a lot of things, especially in the faith right now, is just that people are avoiding that darkness. They are avoiding it. And by avoiding it, it's something that grows even more and it festers even more. And it make people avoid the getting to the light. Life is so paradoxical that it's not even funny. But that goes to show the wholeness within our creator at the same time. And it's a known fact. It's not, it's in scripture, but it's just in general. It's in general that the darkness will not overcome the light. Something that I speak to people all the time about is by you shedding light on that darkness, the darkness will dissipate over time. But a lot of people do a lot of things to distract themselves once they start feeling that darkness within them. Another thing that people do since like times millennia, since the beginning of time, is that people project their darkness onto other people as if it's not coming from them. And that's a part of the quote that I put in there from the Red Book by Carl Jung, is essentially speaking when the most heinous things that we see in this world, every human being is capable of. Where they're like, oh man, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't I wouldn't take somebody out. I wouldn't do none of that. I wouldn't steal. I wouldn't do none of that. But that's you projecting your darkness onto somebody else. Yes, expose the dark by turning on the light, rids the dark. That's a fact. That is a fact. That is a fact. So this is the story that I want to talk about in that regard. And kind of like going into a deep dive somewhat, depending on if my mind like drifts or not. because I can be like sidetracked talking about a lot of things. But ultimately speaking, right? And you want to live from that space spiritually. You don't want to live from that space physically. And I don't even think that if you not living from that space spiritually, you can't possibly live it from that space physically. You got to be that light of truth. Something that I've been talking about here for a while now. These last, I want to say 2 months, longer than that. I don't know, but in order for you to really live in your purpose, you have to live in the light of truth. And by you avoiding that, you're not really living in your purpose. You're not really living in the light of truth. You are living in darkness and you living in a lie. And simplicity is required when you're living in the light of truth, and simplicity is required when you live in the light of your purpose. It's not complicated, and you live from the standpoint. That only makes that's another thing that makes the darkness increase within you. For sure, for sure. That makes that darkness increase within you. And when the Holy One got sacrificed himself, he was dealing with a lot of clever people that was walking in darkness, but swore they was walking in their purpose, but they wasn't. They kind of was. Now to think about it, because their purpose was to show honestly their real colors because of the light that was being shown on them. Due to the Son of God. And where everybody is called to be an example of that, but few people actually walk in that. But every last one of us is called to walk in the light of our purpose. It's not specially reserved for anybody. That's for everybody and anybody. But before you get to that point, like I said, using the seed analogy as like a reference point, you have to sink down into first. You have to. Because by truly avoiding that, not only are you leading yourself astray, you will most likely be leading other people astray. Especially if you think that you want the best for other people, but you haven't cleansed the darkness within yourself. Start with yourself first. Always start with yourself first. Don't try to help anybody if you can't help yourself. Do not try to do that. You're only gonna like make your life a living hell. What the hell? But yeah, but it's kind of crazy. So bring this to like the Gospels. The Gospels is like a great starting point for all of this. Is that when the truth came due to the fact of the darkness that people was living in within themselves, not outwardly, because no matter what, like I said, essentially speaking, this is a spiritual life that we are experiencing. And the physical that people get caught up in right now, that is the illusion and the delusion. Remove the beam from your eye before removing the speck from your brother's eye. That's a fact. That is a fact. Could you put in there, Miss Tracy, where they can find that at, like directly, and read that for themselves, just so they know it's just not something that's just being thrown out there. I believe Saint Paul said that. But yeah. And that's the problem what's going on right now. That's the problem also, like, for example, like in churches, that's what's going on like crazy right now. I just gotta be honest. Is that there's a lot of pointing a finger. There's a lot of projecting inner darkness towards the congregation and stuff like that. And ultimately, the the best way to like point somebody in the right direction is you have to point them towards themselves. Don't try to point them to anything outside of themselves, because if by doing that, they're going to keep continuing the pattern. And ultimately speaking, using the church as an example, that's supposed to be a hospital for your soul, so you can heal yourself from your soul sickness. That's what it's about, honestly. Because tremendously, like, it's great the soul sickness that's going on right now. I speak on this, and for those that just like this is your first time hearing like, yo, what in the world is it, like a soul sickness? The soul sickness is anything that's making you feel less than yourself. Them thoughts that's make you want to go through that self checkout line, if you know what I mean. Those thoughts that's make you depressed. Those feelings that's filling you with so much anxiety about your life. Those are spirits that you battling within your soul. And the darkness that you let in from outside things, from people, places, events, your phone, all of that, it makes that darkness grow even more inside of you. And you start to identify with things that's not you. That's where a lot of these problems come from. You identifying with things that's not you, and they come from a dark place that's unseen. But once you use the light that's deeply within you, that God has blessed you with, you're going to be able to see these things as clear as day and what's unseen. But first and foremost, you're going to recognize it within yourself before you recognize it in people, places, and outer events. Because one thing I can tell you guys, right? These outer events that's going on, you have to look at them as they're not alive, they're dead. They already happening, and nothing you could do to change them. But the thing that's alive within you is the meaning that you give to those things. Your meaning is where your purpose is going to be found at. Your meaning is where the light is actually at. And your meaning is going to determine how dim your light it is and how bright your light actually is. Nice. She put it in there. Matthew chapter 7, verse 1 through 5. And I was wrong just now about what I just said. Because that definitely was said by Jesus Christ on the Sermon on the Mount. So I was totally wrong just now. My bad, people. Thank you for putting that in there, by the way. Appreciate it. I appreciate it. This is why you have to look within yourself, because within yourself, that is where you're going to find the kingdom of heaven. It's not going to be found outside of you. It won't. You can have people that's like that can and will help you along the way, to be quite honest. But you have to rely on the true source. Everything in this natural universe that God created has something innate within it that make it what it is, and that carries the the code of God within it. Honestly speaking, we all carry that within us. And when you turn to outside things, that you ultimately avoiding your darkness by looking at darkness. How crazy is that? How crazy is that? That's nuts. That is nuts. That's why a lot of people are like deceived more than ever now. And it's wild that that's the case because of how much access we have to any and everything, information, people across the world that we could connect with, all of that. But it seems like this is the most lost people has ever been due to the fact that we got this much access. Like, the people don't even know where to go, where to look, and what the starting point is. But I promise you, if you start with yourself, that is the best place to start. And don't identify with those thoughts, like I said, that's creating those soul sicknesses and those feelings that is creating that soul sickness within you. It's crazy. And it really pulls you away from this present moment where eternity is actually at. Where eternity is actually at. It's here right now. It's not in tomorrow, because tomorrow don't exist. And it's not in yesterday, because yesterday is over and done with. It's here right now. It is here right now with us. That's why I encourage you guys for, like, if you're having a crazy day, don't try to do this during the madness of your day. Boy, wait when your day is winding down and sit in silence within yourself. Be still and know. And this is why it's really, really hard nowadays to sit there for, like, I don't want to say 5 minutes and spend time with yourself. Is because we got so used to distracting ourselves with endless content, endless videos, endless sounds and noises, that we're not being stimulated. If our senses are not being stimulated by the outside world, we feel as though something is deeply off. But have you ever thought about that is God's way of trying to communicate to you by pulling you away from the outer darkness and bring you closer to the light within you? Have you ever thought about that? Luke chapter 17, 20 to 21. The kingdom is in you. 110%. 110%. Tracy, you're dropping the gems in here. That's what's up. I got some backup in the chat. Stop playing. But and that's what also your hidden treasure is going to be. All of that stuff is going to be within you. We got shown how to look, and we got shown where to look. Most people, I'm not speaking for everybody in the chat, to be quite honest. You most likely aren't that person if you listening for this long. Excuse me. But most people fail to realize during that time when Jesus walked the earth, this is what he was encouraging people to do, is to go inside of themselves, to know the truth and where the truth actually came from. People also oftentimes also overlook, even though he was dealing with a massive amount of people all the time, there were a decent amount of times where he had to seclude himself from everybody and be by himself. Nobody around to have a conversation clearly with him and his father. One of the conversations that was had during prayers is him being revealed of the disciples that he had to choose. And oftentimes when he was praying, it was in the middle of the night. So he wasn't really sleeping. That's locked into a whole nother level. But we're capable of that as well. We are fully capable of that as well. A lot of us struggle with being silent. A lot of us struggle with being still, and a lot of us struggle with solitude. It's like we need something to pull us away from ourselves. Like I keep saying, need it. Like, oh my God, I need to be in a relationship. Oh my God, I need to be at that function. I feel left out. need to be around these group of people. I need to know what's going on and being part of the loop. But then when it's all said and done, by the end of the day, you still gonna feel that emptiness within you. You still gonna feel that void, and you still gonna feel that darkness. You still gonna feel it. It's still gonna be there. A lot of people right now are seeking validation. You are trying to live highlights within your life to take pictures to put on like Instagram and Facebook and all of that stuff. Just to see if people notice you, just to get the validation, to get probably like a specific person attention and all of that. That's not you who's seeking that. I promise you that's not you who's seeking that. That's something that made a home in you that's not supposed to be there, that's fueling your behavior. That came from that outer darkness. I'm telling y'all, man, like hear me when I say this, like believe me, this is spiritual warfare that we're going through. This is a battle of good versus evil. It's as simple as that. And anything that's on top of that, that they give it names, they're just masking what is actually going on. That's it. Is being waged inside of you for every last individual. And there's a way to overcome that. This is something I've been asking people like crazy. Three simple: your body, are you your thoughts? And are you your feelings? Take the time to think about those three questions, like right now, and ask yourself: do you say that you are your body? Do you say that you are your thoughts? And do you say that you are your feelings? And if you do to any of those three, body being one, thoughts being two, and feelings being three, put a one, two, or three, or put one through three in the chat if y'all are listening. I'm gonna give you guys some time. Are you any of those three? Man, I just thought about something. All right, I'm just gonna move on. You're not your body. You're not your feelings. You're not any of those three things. Think about how common that, and pay attention to this. If you haven't paid attention to this before, when you're talking to other people and they start going on a tangent about how bad their day is or something like that, and they say stuff like, I'm sad, I'm depressed, I'm this, I'm that. And then when you get to asking them, like, okay, you may be feeling those things, but are you that? Are you sad? Or are you feeling sad? And by you presenting questions like that, you will be helping them shed light on that darkness, that help them be able to see it and hopefully one day overcome that. Saint Isaac the Syrian spoke on the 3 degrees of knowledge, which I like love. I love it so much. And the first degree being of the body, the second degree being of the soul, and the third degree being of the spirit. And speaking on how we have to overcome the first degree of knowledge, which is of the body, which fuels the passions of the world. You seeking validation from other people. You seeking vain ornaments that comes as luxurious and all of that. You seeking glory and position and status from other people. Sexual immorality. What else? Resentment of other people because of their job positions and stuff like that. These are the passions of the world. If I'm feeling down, I talk to myself, and if you ask me how I'm doing, my answer is amazing. Amazing. Nice. Nice. Can you distinguish what is which, like your thoughts? Like, can you recognize the not you and you inside of you? Like, what is it? What is those thoughts that's telling me that? Is that me or is that something else? Because it's something. When you start to recognize these things within you, I was just talking to a friend of mine about this the other day, like last week. It's something in you that really start to raise hell once it start to like recognize like that it's being noticed and being watched because they know it's like time is up. And that's the same thing with when it came to closer and closer to the time of the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. Another influence that's getting to snuff out my light. Amazing. That's self awareness right there. That's truly self awareness. But when it was getting closer and closer to the sign of Jonah, when Jesus Christ was on his way to making the sacrifices of all sacrifices, those people they started raising hell because of the darkness within them. I'm trying to again. I totally understand what you meant by that. I totally understand what you meant by that. But the darkness within them, it started to like raise hell. They started to, like I said, when you walking in the spirit of truth and the light of your purpose, is very, very simple minded and it's not complicated because there's no sort of deceit that's found in it. But when you walking away from your purpose and walking in the darkness of lies, you have to become clever. You have to figure out ways to get around things because you're not trying to go through them. And that's what these people are doing. Initiating conversations to have him slip up to pretty much so he can be put to death for blasphemy. They were doing the best that they can. And the more that these plans wasn't working because of the lighter truth, the more infuriating it was. And people still carry these spirits to this day. Like, if you straightforward bring the light of truth to people, and not in like a harsh way or any of that, but just even if it's like gentle, subtle, simple, you're going to see the hell in people come out. I promise you, you're going to see the hell in them come out. And then you have to truly, truly know that that's not them that's speaking or acting on their behalf. That's something else. That comes with walking in the light of truth. And you shouldn't judge people for that either. That's why when it comes to like religious sex and all of that, and um Even people within the faith that judge people in that regard, you gotta really, really ask, like, what spirit is making them conduct themselves in a certain way that they conduct themselves in. And are they really walking in the spirit of truth? And are they really walking in the spirit of light? Because, like I said, once you start with yourself and the light starts getting shed on your personal darkness, you will be able to see that outside of you very clearly. You're going to be able to see it clearly. But you have to go through the hell within you first. You can't skip that part. A lot of people would love to skip that part, but no, you got to go through it. If Christ didn't get that exception, you won't get it. Promise you, you will not get it. In fact, that's the requirement. And he showed us the way of how to like overcome hell, how to overcome death. This life that we experiencing here on planet Earth is so temporary, it's not even funny. Before you blink, this roller coaster ride is going to be over. That's why it's also another thing to stay present. Don't be anxious at all. And if you just so happen to feel anxious and you feel like anxiety, take a step back and then look and just watch it. How's it going? How's it going? How's it going? Good to see you on the live. But take a step back and look at that. Look at your anxiety. Look at the things that's making you feel anxious within yourself. I'm doing great. I'm doing amazing. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well. And just simply watch it. And over time, it might take a decent amount of time. Like some of these things will put up a fight, but eventually you're going to be able to deal with this stuff like within yourself. That's like, oh man, knowing what triggers you and stuff like that. And like I said, the last live that we did, I used a circle as a reference point to this. And man, I might bring that dry eraser board back. I'm on to. Give me 1 second. Amazing. Yo, I'm about to get back in my whiteboard bag. We're about to get back using the whiteboard. We're about to go crazy with the whiteboard. Look at that. This is what everybody's experiencing, like high key all the time, right? All the time. Most people are not trying to get to that point. They're not trying to live from the center. They're trying to live from all of this, the outside world, all of that darkness out there. And you have to go within. If you truly looking to find the light, you have to go within. Don't try to look outside yourself. You're not going to find that in other people. You're not going to find that in friends, family. You're not going to find that in a building. You have to go within yourself. You have to go within yourself. Don't skip over that at all. You got to get to the center. You have to get to the center. And by you actually doing that, is something about even in outer darkness is going to disappear. And you're going to look at the world in such a different light. And you're going to truly open up to use the lenses that God wanted you to actually use. And not using your physical eyes, but your spiritual eyes to see what's actually going on out here. And we're high key, we're going backwards. I'm not even gonna like sugarcoat it and be like nice about it. Society's moving backwards. We're advancing, uh, technologically speaking, but spiritually, we are treading backwards like fast. The more technology is increasing, technology is increasing the loneliness in people. People are feeling more separate than other people than ever before. But yet and still, like I said, we have access to connect with anybody across the world at any given time. But why do we feel so apart from each other? What? That don't make no sense. That don't make any sense at all. And when you're on your way, going through that darkness, there's something that's going to be required. God's will. That's right. The thing that's going to be required is self-sacrifice. You're going to have to die to the old version of yourself to be reborn again. You have to, because that's a part of you that that's holding you back, essentially speaking. That's right. Everything does happen for a reason. Majority of people don't believe that that's the case. I'm gonna stop saying majority. I don't know majority of people to be saying something like that. I'll say a decent amount of people, but everything happens for a reason, and I agree with that, and I believe that there's purpose behind absolutely everything for sure. There's purpose behind everything. And when you look closely at events and at people's actions, especially throughout history, and looking at that bird's eye view, you would truly understand how we got to this point by looking at all sides of the coin, heads, tails, and the truth. You would truly know. But it has to die off, and you have to be reborn again. And by you being reborn again, you will develop that new mind and a new way to feel and a new way to ultimately be. And from then on out, you will start to live in the light of your purpose. That don't necessarily mean that everything is going to be easier. But the one thing that you're going to realize is that you have something on your head that is going to make you unstoppable. And that's the real light. The real light from the most high. That is what's going to make you unstoppable. And you're going to realize within that is that the Most High has been working on your behalf the whole entire time. And it wasn't even you shedding that light on the darkness, but you had no control over that at all whatsoever. That was another thing that God is working on your behalf and shedding that light on the darkness inside of you. And it's gonna feel so painful dying to your old self. And that's ultimately what will draw you into solitude. That's ultimately what's going to draw you into silence. And that's what's going to draw you to be still. Be still. Get to know yourself. Like, man, like I tell people this all the time. Like, when it's all said and done, you will spend time with yourself more than anybody, more than your kids, more than your spouse, more than your friends. You're going to spend the most time with yourself. From the moment you broke through and enter this universe in your physical form to the moment you exit out. There's one way in and one way out of this thing. Is one and one way out of this thing. And there's no exceptions to the rule. We, for the most part, majority of us, that's just how it is. That's just simply how it is. But your spirit is stronger and beyond what your physical body can comprehend. And I spoke on St. Isaac discerning the 3 degrees of knowledge. When you associate your intelligence with your body's intelligence, your body just want pleasure, and it want as much pleasure before it check up out of here, because your body know that it can't go where your soul and spirit is going. But your soul is what you are using to identify with your body, instead of directing your senses to inside your soul. The word is sharper than a two-edged sword, and it can and will separate you from the darkness if you yield to his will. That's a fact. Majority of people just put up a fight. They like to fight. They like to fight for that darkness. Like, they like to vouch for that darkness. Like, they want to hold on to it. When you have to ultimately realize that, there's nothing to hold on to here. There's like absolutely nothing to hold on to. So listen, you might as well free fall and just let go. Just let go. Free fall. It's going to be scary. But like I said, we are in that process of a seed. After Christ was like crucified, 3 days and 3 nights, he had to descend in order to come back up, because that was ultimately his purpose as well. And bring the light into the deep darkness before he came back to earth and then ascended to his starting point. We are all having crazy battles within ourselves, like, and don't for a second confuse that with outside things as if it's not going on inside of you. Don't do that. Don't project your evil that you are experiencing onto somebody else from you. Don't do that. Sit with it all. Sit with all the craziness that you are going through. And you're going to be just fine. You'll be just fine. The unconditional love, for example, that Christ brought, which is like a real great example for absolutely all of this, shows us how to be and what the ultimate goal is of what we are becoming by us walking in the light of truth. I just did a podcast this Sunday with Bill Goodwin, CEO of Priority Living Consulting Group. And the one thing that we talked about, because he's a very purpose-driven person, he's also a man of faith, and he's in a personal development market. And the one thing that we had a conversation on that podcast episode is talking about how purpose is internal. And I was talking to him about purpose served. And the 3 words that I constantly say all the time: serve your purpose. And how purpose is an internal thing, and the service is external. And you taking action on that light within you. You're not procrastinating or none of that. Purpose within you moves you to act in a way that it ultimately feels as though it's beyond you. I never thought in my life that I would be sitting here doing what I'm doing right now and conducting myself in the way that I'm conducting myself right now. Seriously, I never thought. But unintentionally, life humbled me. And it took a lot of things falling apart so many times for me to get to this point of facing myself. Miss Tracy says, me either. And that's the one thing. It's crazy. God does choose people in deep darkness to be an example of what it truly means to live from that light. And Paul was a great example of that. And when the light got revealed to him on the road to Damascus, he was in deep darkness himself. And the light was so bright when Christ came to him that it literally blinded him. It literally blinded him. And he had to be still himself to recover and get to his true purpose. But everything that you've done all the way up until this point, whether it was good, bad, or ugly and different, you're being moved by something. You have to recognize what that something that you're being moved by is. Them kingdom principles. Living Logos Christian Assembly. That is the old church that we used to go to, people. LLCA. Wow. Clinton Place, Newark, New Jersey. The old stomping grounds right there. I had no clue being in there what he was talking about. But all I knew was like constantly hearing kingdom principles. That's like hilarious. Every week. Every week. That is amazing. Man, good times. Throwback Thursday. Throwback Thursday right there. But literally, for anybody that's listening right now, I'm going to start winding this down. But seek first the kingdom of God, seek first the kingdom of heaven. And all of God's righteousness will be added on to you. Do that by going within and going through your darkness. And that's the only way to be whole and unite the opposites within you. That's literally the only way. Don't try to find it in other people and don't try to find it in other things, because all it is, those are just temporary distractions. That's all it is. And by you going through that first primary way, you will realize that there's entities and spirits that's in you that's not supposed to be there, and their ultimate goal is they're trying to just simply destroy you from the inside out. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. It makes no sense to sugarcoat it. We this far deep. Yeah, that depression, that spirit of depression that's in you is just trying to destroy you from the inside out. That grief that's inside of you is just trying to destroy you from the inside out. It holds death, but within you holds life. And that life and that light will fight onto his side. And you have to surrender. You have to let go. And ultimately, fight is not your fight to fight, but you have to pick a side. There's a lot of evil that's going on right now. There's a lot of evil that's always been going on right now. And it get masqueraded as certain things. Masqueraded as so many different shapes and sizes, but ultimately you have to boil it down as, is this working for the spirit of good or is this working for the spirit of evil? And you have to make a choice between the two. If you want to continue to live on hellhole, then you already made that choice. But if you want to live from the spirit of good, you have to be good in order to do good. You have to be good in order to do good. I believe that every last one of y'all are capable of best life and y'all best potential to your purpose, and by aligning to the will of God, you'll be blessed beyond measure. I promise y'all. And a lot of things won't get to y'all from the outside world. You'll be living from that center point. You'll be living from that center point. Serve your purpose. Walk in the light of truth. Walk in the light of truth. I appreciate everybody that tapped in tonight. I appreciate everybody that's going to be eventually watching this in the near future. God bless every last one of y'all. And you guys stay blessed. Have an amazing day. And walk in the light of your purpose. And before you even get to that point and you're not there yet, get through your own darkness and watch your thoughts and watch your feelings. Just sit there and watch them. Love you too, Miss Tracy. Thank you for being on this live. I really, really appreciate you. I appreciate the participation. And it's always good to like hear from you. Seriously. Always. Thank you. Love you too. And everybody, I'm out of here. Stay blessed. Last 3 words, y'all know the vibes. Serve purpose. Yeah. Yeah.